Welcome to the Teens Talk podcast, created by the Student Virtual Board of You Celebrate Diversity. You Celebrate Diversity supports students and teachers organizing locally, educating themselves and their peers, and taking action for inclusion and social justice. For more information, visit ycdiversity.org. Welcome back to Season 2, which is all about community building. In this episode, I'll be speaking about friendship and community, alongside my actual friend group, who consists of Ayat Durera, Ala Al-Hassin, and Aya Sharia. Quick disclosure, I was overseas at the time and wasn't able to get on camera, so her screen will be off. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Teens Talk Community Building. This episode is about friendship and basically how friendship can be its own kind of community. I'm your host, Lameese Makkawi. I'm a virtual intern for You Celebrate Diversity, and I'm just going to get right into it. So, community is the backbone of culture. The right community provides you with much needed love and support. Everyone needs a community, and it can look different all over the world. The important thing is building a community with the right intentions, as well as understanding the possible obstacles that you could face. Here with me are some of my own friends. I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Hello, my name's Aya, and I'm a rising sophomore at CU Denver.
Hi, I'm Ayat. I'm a rising sophomore at CU Denver.
Hi, I'm Ada, and I'm a rising sophomore at Syracuse University.
Okay, so we have tried to compose ourselves a lot of times as we record this, but the whole point of this episode is going to be a little different. One being that this is multiple people, so that's exciting. But another thing being that we're just going to be talking about some of our own experiences with friendship and basically how we've, as a group, because we are a friend group, how we've been able to kind of cultivate and kind of form our own dynamic as a healthy friend group compared to maybe some of the friend groups we used to be in or some of the things you see in media. And that's what we're going to be talking about. So I'm going to first start by asking you guys, and anybody can, start first. What does community mean to you?
Well, I'll start then. I think community's biggest thing for me is support system and connection. And I think that all around community can come from anywhere as long as you're able to see it around you.
Yeah, I think that community comes from trust and having a safe space at all times. And yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it just is community comes from a place you just feel comfortable in, a safe space as well, just a place you feel like you kind of just trust the people you're around, and you kind of can let your guard down. Yeah.
You guys are doing so well. Thank you. Yeah, I loved all those answers. I loved all those answers. Also, you guys can laugh. It's okay. Mind you, guys, this is not how we act on a FaceTime call, so it's okay. Listen up. Have some fun. Anyways, I love that you guys said all of that because community is the whole point of the season. And I ask a lot of the people on these episodes, what does it mean to you first? Because it means something different to everyone. And throughout the episodes, we touch on all the different struggles and benefits of it, and just really specific niche, issues, and maybe just all the different things. So moving on to that, what does friendship mean to you? Because we're going to kind of discuss how they all kind of coincide and connect.
It can mean a lot of things, but I guess the top things that come to mind, definitely loyalty and compromises, because friendship is a lot of work and it's not easy.
Yeah. Are you not an NPC and are you a real human? That's all I can think about in my head because honestly, before I became friends with you guys, everyone else just kind of seemed like an outer part of my life. I feel like once you really connect with somebody, you're like, oh, there are other real humans in this world.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. I think honestly, for me, I really need reassurance. I'm either really indecisive or really um I wouldn't say, I don't know how to say it, but sometimes I wouldn't be super confident about certain things I want to go through, or certain goals I have. And I feel like having friends that are um like that give you reassurance and that are there for you is really important to me. I feel like having a friend that isn't going to like, I guess I just like people that are selfless, people that are loyal, like Aya said, that you can trust, someone you can just automatically feel like you can just go to, not have to like consider whether you'll feel comfortable talking to them about something.
So I think it just means finding somebody that, you really love at the end of the day. Somebody that will always have your back, because I've been in a lot of like really toxic friendships, and like the main pattern that I noticed, and the reason like that they didn't work, is because they don't really care for you at the end of the day. They're not loyal to you, they lie to you, they're not going to help you out when you need them the most, and it sucks. So when you find like real friendship, you can like let your guard down.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like kind of it's like something that Lameese says a lot that I started to say. It's like kind of like your chosen family. Um where like you need people that are going to actually be there for you instead of it kind of being one-sided, because I've been in a lot of friendships where people will expect things from me, but I wouldn't be able to expect certain things from them. And I think with friendships, it does come with a lot of work and a lot of, you just have to stand your ground and have certain boundaries with people, or else they will learn how to walk all over you. Um, so yeah.
Building off of what I last said, friendship is like give and take on both sides. Like you can't just keep taking and taking and taking without also reciprocating that energy, because then, like she said, just being taken advantage of, and that's not fun.
Yeah, and I think it's like also kind of really hard, especially when you do find real friendship, to be able to like, at least for me, be able to like mediate how much you put like reliance onto somebody. Because like having a support system through a friend is like pretty, like it's pretty secure for most of the time, because like Lemis always says, it's your chosen family. You chose this person to trust. So like I know I have this issue. I'll just like bank on all my emotions towards my friends just because like it feels like it's the safest option. But like Aya said, it's like give and take, you know. You gotta realize your spot.
No, I totally agree with everything you guys said, because I feel like at the end of the day, like like this is something like I have talked about a lot too. Is just like I don't like treating my friends like an aesthetic. Like I feel like some people kind of shop for friends. Like they shop, like they're like this aesthetic matches mine. This one would be cute to take pictures with. Like this person would be socially acceptable. Like it's all about status at the end of the day. And I know everybody's like, oh, like some people find people that say like we're like kind of losing like community and like society, like so dramatic, but it's true. Like at this point, like I love social media and I use it, and I know that like if you use it, with the right parameters and with the right intentions, it could be great. But the thing is though, is like we're not, like at this point everybody's just trying to like, it's like I remember somebody like on TikTok one time said like Instagram feels like you're walking on a runway model, like on a runway, like as a model. And I was like, that is so accurate. Like you're literally just always just like, hey, like you never want to just be fun and be yourself. So I totally feel like it's important to just have like real friends with you. And then the next question was, do you think there's a difference between being in a friend group or in a friend duo? Like just having the one friend or having like being part of a group?
Yes. Okay, I've been in like 5,000 different duos, and duos aren't really just duos. Like I really don't think there's such a thing as just having one friend and then sticking to that person, because eventually like they have their own friends too, and you also have your own community as well. And with duos, I feel like, I don't know, I don't think they work. I feel like friend groups are a lot better, and they work a lot better. And I think they're a lot healthier than duos.
I mean,
I
if
know
you
that a lot of duos that I've been, huh? I know that a lot of duos that I've been in and I've witnessed and seen always turn into a competition, or like they just get really toxic, and there's no balance of other people to help, like, keep. I don't know how to put it into words, but you need more than one person to be your friend, because I feel like spending so much time with one person turns into a competition and you forget that you're friends.
Yes, I agree because first of all, I don't even know if like friendship duos are really a thing because it's like you can go out with somebody like you and that person and we still all have our whole lives behind us. It's not like I'm strictly tied to this person. I'm like, oh, this is my duo for life. And
Mm-hmm.
you saying that like duos always end up competing with each other, we grew up watching that. Like I feel like we witnessed that a lot
Yeah.
growing up, especially with like those big duos that everyone was like, looking at. And you talked about Instagram and it was like, yeah, dude, y'all are competing. It's a runway and y'all are sprinting to the end.
I agree. I think like
Exactly.
I feel like with duos, I don't I don't think there's an issue with having one friend that you feel like really close to, but I think the issue is where you're like, this is my one friend and no one can ever be as like I can never find anyone as good as them. Like it's like I feel like it's limiting your options into like finding more people that you could be close with because everyone grows like with time, and like we're all so young and you have friends that I feel like feed into certain sides of your personality whereas some other friends don't. And like I don't know, I feel like it's a little toxic when you just put out like I'm only gonna have this one friend because then there's like I feel like jealousy, competition. I've seen a lot with people like being jealous that one friend is being closer with another friend, and I'm like, this isn't a actual relationship. It's you guys are supposed to be okay with like just being happy with finding other people and making new connections with others, but it shouldn't make you feel like you're losing your spot as a friend.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of friendships sometimes start to be like painted as like a full-on relationship. And it's like, dude, why are we so like into it with each other? It's like we're friends. We're not really supposed to be. I'm not married to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that jealousy aspect is just like crazy too, because it's like that's the whole point of being friends. That's what differs friends from a relationship.
But I feel like honestly, I feel like because it's portrayed in like media a lot, like that duo, um like if you're watching Disney growing up, like you always see there's like the duo. Like there's like Rocky and Cece. There's like you know what I mean? Like
First one I thought of.
yeah. Like there's always a duo. And so it kind of I feel like it kind of teaches you that you have to find that one friend because who else is gonna understand you? But you also just I don't know, I think you just need to explore your explore your surroundings because everyone changes. Everyone um I feel like everyone deserves to just make friends with a bunch of people and whether you feel connected to them or not, at least you'll know like whether they'll feed into certain sides of you or whether they're not good for you. But like limiting yourself to one friend because you were friends with them since elementary school and like you guys are supposed to be a duo can become really toxic at a point.
Yeah, especially like friends from long ago. Not saying that you shouldn't stay friends with people from like your like childhood, but you can't just dedicate yourself to that one person just because you feel like you owe it to them because you've been friends at such a young age. Because at some point, like, there's always that gap after being friends with somebody for so long where you both have to like grow in your own spaces and you change and you're not going to be the same from when you first met at like when you guys were children.
No, I totally agree with like all like I was gonna say I think it's totally fine to have like a best friend like in a friend group too. Like if you not all friend groups operate in a way where they're like everyone's best friend with each other. Like there's friend groups where they're okay just being like, friends, right? And everybody has like maybe one or two people that they're like already close with or just happen to be closer with. But my thing is like you said with Rocky and Cece, but they also had like Ty and those other characters to keep them in check when they were beefing. You know what I mean? So it was like, yeah, they still were best friends and it was like them, but they still had like a friend group and like community around them to like offer their opinion or like I feel like one thing you guys were talking about with the whole duo thing was like the toxicity, right? Like the possessiveness. Like people joke about possessiveness in friends because they think it's cute, but honestly, it's actually really toxic. Like it's really bad because I've personally been in friends, like friendships where like duos were like, I couldn't be friends with nobody else. And if I was, they would automatically become besties too. Like they had, like I couldn't just have my own like separate life or anything like that. Like it did get to the point of competing with each other too. And like that whole competing, like we're gonna touch on that a little bit about like external factors and how they kind of affect friendships. But I just it's real. Like, and that's not to say that like I think there's also differences with like bigger friend groups. Like I wanted to ask you guys were talking about all the issues with being in a duo. Like what are some issues you find with being in a bigger group? Like is there not even just between a bigger group and a duo, like is there a difference between being part of a small group or a big group, like anything like that?
Um,
Yes.
yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like big groups, in my opinion, I don't think they last that long. Like,
They
I would
don't.
give it like a few months tops before somebody gets mad at somebody else. Um, I think big groups can work if they add on with time, but I feel like when you start off with a big group, sometimes it's like either, I don't know, sometimes I think it's because of aesthetic and it's kind of like a clique, like a clicky type of group, or yeah, I don't know. I just feel like big groups, I haven't seen a lot of big groups to kind of prove to me that like, oh, they're all really tight with each other. Mainly it just seems like it's all like the popular kids and like the honors kids and the jocks and the, you know what I mean? Like it's, they're all in certain groups because they all have one maybe like thing they can all relate to with, but they're not all close because of their personalities. It's all what they bring to the table.
Mm, I agree with this.
Yeah, I feel like
Well, I used to be a part of like a big group like with like the Libyan community and it just like doesn't work. Like it legitimately doesn't work. There's there's like 10 of you girls, all of you guys are spaced in age range, right? So let me give you a good example of this. We get to the mall, right? We get to Park Meadows, we walk through the door and it's like me and like four other people and four other people who go split off, right? And those four other people always end up going to like Forever 21 and PEXA and all this. And then like the other side of the group always ends up going into like Hot Topic or the food court. We're staying in the food court. This is what I came for, or I'm going to play the games, you know? And that's what I always feel like happens in like big friend groups is just like the clickiness of like so many different personalities just like is bound to split you guys apart. You're
Mm-hmm.
not gonna vibe
yeah,
with everybody. I just can't vibe with everyone, you know?
yeah.
Exactly.
And I also feel like with big friend groups, um, the ones that like start off as huge friend groups, those like over time it turns into like a competition. Like I know we talked about competition with duos, but with like bigger friendships, it's different. It turns like into like an attention seeking competition. Because
Mm-hmm.
someone is trying to be the friend group leader in
And there's
I mean
like
in big
10
friend
of
groups.
them.
Ooh,
You're
we keep
right.
getting
There's
to
like a
friend group
group
leader.
leader, literally. Like,
Yeah, because there's this
mhm.
huge group of like six, seven friends. So everyone is trying to see, or like somebody is trying to compete, like who's better than everyone. So they can like quote unquote lead the group. And some people will start acting out in the group because they want the attention that the other people are giving that one person. And then it turns into like something really messy and toxic. And it just gets out of control real quick.
Yep, I agree. I think some big groups work, but like what Aya said, like if you start off as a big group and you guys don't know each other whatsoever, and you guys are all friends with each other because like you guys have one commonality, it's not like going to, there's a really big chance it's not going to work out because you don't know each other. And I feel like it's really hard to get to know each other when you're in a big group of like 10 or like a group of, I don't know, just like a big group. And so then there comes that like group leader whole like situation where somebody wants to, I don't know, it just sounds like attention seeking, like I was saying too. And it's like no one's ever going to get a lot of time for everyone else to understand who they are because you're in such a big group and everyone wants to talk or everyone wants their spotlight for a second. And it's like, I think big groups can work if you have subgroups within the big group. But if you have a big group as a whole and none of you guys know each other, then like I don't really see how you're going to actually enjoy your time as friends. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. And I also
Guys,
think
the more we talk about it, the more it feels like big groups are like Love Island. Like it just feels like a
no,
reality TV show.
I'm getting like war flashbacks right now from like freshman year when I first moved to Byers. And the only reason I was friends with literally like the entire grade was because everyone there was Sudanese. So like the one thing I had in common with them was that we were all from Sudan, but I did not know these people. Like we would go to events and stuff, and we would just be together, but there was no like talking and like catching up and like doing what friends do. Like it's just like the whole like back to like the Instagram thing. Like we were just together to like look good, but like were we ever like, because we were fighting all the time. All our conversations turned into fights. We were beefing. We did not like each other, but for some reason we always ended up being in the same room at all times.
Yeah. That's one thing I learned too. I feel like mainly in high school, for me, like I was around a lot of the same people, and I feel like I could say that for all of us. But because we seen the same people all the time, whether we liked them or not, we kind of forced ourselves to try to be friends with them or try to be cool with them, and it just would never work. And I think because I'm like introverted and I also have a little bit of like social anxiety. So when I feel like something, if I'm not having a good time, I stay silent. Like I don't talk. I'm not gonna try to even like be cool, like and have like a good conversation with somebody if they don't make me feel comfortable. But like I know that's not easy for a lot of people. And um I don't know, I just feel like with being around people that you see all the time, you automatically think that you have to be friends with them or that you have to build some type of like really good like relationship with them. But like sometimes that's just not the case. If somebody isn't like serving you well, then you don't need to give them all of your time and energy, especially if you're not feeling good after being around them.
I want to say with what we just talked about literally gives me K-pop group. Like some of these people,
Oh, when she said subunits?
yeah, like okay,
Mhm.
here's the thing, right? Is like when you think about it, like it doesn't even matter if you actually know anything about K-pop or not, right? Like K-pop groups are so big.
Why'd you have to target me?
I didn't target you. I feel like you've been watching. See, anyways, basically, it's like with K-pop groups, how it works is like you know, they just kind of like I'm not gonna say for everyone, but like they usually just kind of like, you know, basically like scout, right? Like they find people that are gonna fit this mold and this like image in their group, right? So you have a visual, right? You have the dancer, you have the singer. Now they can all do a little bit of everything, but like there's somebody that like accomplishes a certain like task, right? And so the thing is though, is that all these like delusional fans, not all, no K-pop people come for me, I'm still a fan. I just mean like the delusional ones, okay? They are like, how are they not all best friends? Like, no, they have to love each other. These are random people that were grouped together from different parts of the country or world. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of insane to assume that everyone's gonna mesh with each other. And I think the K-pop is actually one of the best like metaphors for this kind of thing because like at the end of the day, you always see in these groups, there's always like the one member or the two members that are always like this, and then there's always the ones that are like tolerating each other, you know, and that's just how life works. Like I feel like to give people this false idea. It's like something I think social media has created is like parasocial relationships. Like people really believe they know these people. You know what I mean? And it's like that's the sickest part about these friendships that I think that, you know, ties into community building is to actually build your own personal community. It needs to be based off of like real love and trust and like you guys talked about earlier. So to make everything off of aesthetic just kind of makes everything, I guess, compromised, because at this point, of course, you don't like each other. You never care to want to see if you would like each other in the first place, you know? But moving on, I wanted to ask you guys, what are your green flags in friendships? Like, what are the things that when you first make a friend, or even if after some time of being friends with somebody, like, what are certain things you just really want to keep finding in other people?
Okay. So I guess what I look for when like meeting new people is I kind of like let them lead the conversation and see where it goes. And sometimes like most of them lead to like talking about like other people's lives. So I know it was a green flag, but like I don't know. I just thought of red flags. And I guess like for me, like a red flag is like immediately when meeting someone don't even know and they're that comfortable talking like down on other people, like I know I have to keep my distance away from them. And with green flags, with meeting new people or like friends, I don't know. I just like meeting people who are like just as bubbly as I am. Like I just think like that's a green flag. Like if you're just cool and nice and you know, you're like obviously trying to keep the conversation going because like, you know, it's a little bit awkward because we don't know each other. I think that's a green flag. Just nice. Like that's it. Somebody who's just really, really nice when you first meet them. Not like weird, but like I don't know. I don't know how to put it to words, but somebody who's just super just kind. I think the good word is kind.
I'm
You know
sorry, I
what
had
you
to
were
sneeze.
saying?
Yeah.
You know what you were saying about like somebody who's like just like capable with like having a conversation with you. You ever meet
Mm-hmm.
those people who are like, I'm too cool and we have to sit in silence right now because I don't know
Oh my God.
you. I'm just like, you're just making this so difficult for everybody around you. Like, it's just
I
not,
just get up and leave. Like I'm not dealing with that.
yeah, like we ain't gonna vibe up. We ain't gonna vibe up from the start. The vibe was not trapped. Like, cause like why are you making me work for it?
No, why are you making me work for it? No, why are you making no? Because there's a difference between like genuinely having social anxiety, being introverted, and just keeping to yourself. Like, I don't think anyone should have to talk if they don't want to talk to you. Some people just aren't talkers. But then there's the people that you know are doing it because they genuinely want you to know, like, hey, you're not in my bubble yet. Like, you're not in my circle yet. Like, you gotta like some people test you. I feel like they gotta see if you're also nonchalant and like mysterious and like whatever until they feel comfortable enough to like actually, you know, be like, okay, you're cool enough to be with me, you know? But keep going. I had talked about red and green, so let's just keep that theme going.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, there's like no way I can be nonchalant ever with new people. Just like I don't understand how people are just like, I don't care. I don't care. Because it's like I try to be so mysterious so hard, but especially if I like realize you're a good person, I'm telling you everything from the start. And that's what I like. That's a green flag right there. If you talk about yourself, that's a green flag. If I know, okay, we can
Yeah.
connect with each other through like relatable like experiences, that's cool. Like, but
Mm-hmm.
say something.
Hmm. I agree. I think for me, I don't know. I feel like when somebody gets to know me first, they think I give off like either like I'm really quiet and shy or I get chill a lot. And like I don't, it's mainly just because I have like social anxiety and I don't know when I want to talk or if I can trust you. So like I automatically will just wait until I feel comfortable around you. And if you're usually like my big green flag, like I was saying, is if you're bubbly. Like if you're bubbly enough to make me feel comfortable just showing my outgoing side, that's a big green flag to me because it's really hard for me to like lead conversations with somebody I don't know from the jump. And I think I've gotten a lot better at it. But like if I'm like looking at myself like a few years ago, like that was not even in the question for me. Like if I don't know you, I'm not going out of my way to talk to you. Like, it wasn't like, oh, you gotta work to talk to me. Like, I'm too cool. It was mainly like, I'm too scared to talk to this person. Like, I'd rather just do my homework and go home. But um, I think right now it's mainly just if you're bubbly enough or like if I get a good vibe from you, then I'll go. Like, I feel like that's a big green flag for me. And like, um, yeah, I feel like talking about yourself as well, not talking about other people. Or like if you're not talking about schoolwork all the time or like how your grades look, that's also a big green flag for me.
Yeah. And back to like the green and red flag theme. Um, I guess I'm gonna split this up into like making friends with like the males. Okay, God, with men and with women. Like, what are my like green and red flags with them? Um, with girls, oh my God, this is gonna sound horrible. Like, I don't even know how to like say this in a way where it just doesn't sound stupid. But I guess like my first like red flag where like I know I can't tolerate this person is when like the main focus of the conversation turns into like guys. And I know like that sounds like kind of pick me, but like let me elaborate. I mean like when the entire conversation is centered on a guy. Like I go like boy crazy. I'll talk about a guy, but like it can't be every single time we meet up. It can't be for like an entire like 2 weeks straight. Like that's the one topic because then I'm like, are you even interested in making friends with me? I mean, being friends with me, or are you just looking for someone to vent to about this person until you get tired of them? And I guess that's just a red flag for me because then I don't even know if you're trying to like build a genuine friendship because then it just turns into the guy and then them talking about themselves. I think red flags in men. I mean, there's a ton. Like the list can go on forever. This is like a whole separate conversation, to be honest. But I guess like the first red flag that I see is when they don't really have like a genuine interest in making friends with you, and you can like tell right away when they start asking like the kind of questions or trying to like get to know you in a way as like you're trying to build like a dating relationship and not a like sincere friendship. Because I see people talking about this all the time that guys really just can't make like friends with people that they find like girls that they find attractive, which sucks. But yeah, those are my red flags. Green flags is that you just literally have to be nice. If you're nice and I feel comfortable around you, then that's my green flag.
Mm-hmm. Well, I agree. I think what you everything you said is like very valid and like a fair point to make because like I think I think for me all around I really hate hearing about like drama 24/7 because it starts to make me feel super like I'm like, okay, so if this is all we're talking about, what if anything happens between any of us? Are you gonna just start talking about me? Or like are you gonna start talking about your best friend like this too? Like what is this friendship if all we talk about is drama and gossip? Or like I think friends that are that kind of like I don't know how to explain it, but I think the best way to put it is like friends that put their image before like anything else first. Like if say like anything happens between their friend, like something happens with their friend and it's not that big of a deal, but it's like, oh, now everyone doesn't like that friend for a certain thing that isn't that serious. So now you're not going to be friends with that person because of your image and everybody else isn't that like close with them. I think that's a big red flag with people because like I feel like that's you see that a lot more in like bubbles of either in college or like secondary school, all of that. But like in the real world, nobody cares about your image unless you're like a celebrity. Like, girl, like we all are just trying to make it through this life. You know what I mean? But like, I think a lot of people care about image and how like people perceive them, that like sometimes they forget that like sometimes it's just not that serious. And sometimes like when you put your image before your friends first, or people that actually love you first, you start to like, I don't know, I think you start to get into a loop of being around people that actually don't care about you at all and care about their image too. And it's just competition all over again. And I think I was gonna say, like, with Aya talking about red flags with guys, I was gonna say red flags like alphas, like the guys that
Yeah.
think they're alphas. Um, they'll just be like, yeah, like I don't know. Think about like a wolf. Like that's what I think of when I hear alpha male. Like if you see a wolf, like, and you're trying to like relate to like a dog, then that's when I'm like, okay, that's a red flag. Like I don't want to be around you if you think like as an alpha male, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that because you need to like represent your tribe. What tribe? Like I don't this isn't Twilight, first off. Second off, I don't get it. I just don't like that. It's just a big red flag to me. It starts to make me feel like um I don't know. It just makes me feel like I'm belittled and that you always will think that you're bigger in power, whereas like we're both in the same calc class. We're both with the same meal swipes. Like I don't understand. But yeah.
This is okay, and I want to make something clear to all the viewers at home. No, I'm kidding. I want to make something clear. Like these
We are
podcasts.
meant supporters.
No, like here's the thing. These are supposed to be honest conversations. Like I don't feel like we need to. Obviously, you need to speak appropriately, of course, and still be welcoming. And I don't. We're not actual misandrists, but it's the same thing of like when you have been like there's obviously like the actual like systematic like oppression, like being oppressed over and over again. And there's like the social like microaggressions. But when you have to deal with it all the time, like at a certain point, I think you have the right to feel reserved, like be a little reserved when trying to strike up a friendship with a man. Because if I'm being honest, like I just have been, I don't want to use the word traumatized, but it just like very disappointed a little too many times, like where I think I lost my trust. That's what it is. And I think that just because in my position as a girl, I have the right to feel a little just a little kind of like I said, reserved, just because I feel like at the end of the day, if most of the guys I have, like for me, I want to be friends with as many people as I can, but it's so hard because I want to have more guy friends where I can hear their perspective and just maybe like be more understanding about certain things. But it's hard when like every time I want to be a friend with you, it's like you don't really think of me, you don't see me as a person or as a friend, you don't see me like as like a community member, because this is what it is, community, so it's like it feels really like I don't trust you at that point. It feels wrong.
And I feel like with guys, either they treat you too much like a girl, like a lady, or not enough. Like they just like set it through and they're just like way too comfortable. Like, and it's not like all men, but it's just like a common factor of being in a friendship with a guy is just like either you are now, I hate saying this, but a part of the guys, or they still view you as like, she's a girl. And it's like hard to build a connection with somebody and hard to have a support system. It's hard to have trust when there's always like that underlying factor of you can't see me how like you should see me, but like you've already put a box over what we have right now.
No, I sorry, do you want to go?
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I really resonate with that because I swear, like I feel like that's the issue actually, is you can't be like okay with being feminine and find guys that will be okay with that. Because this thing I've noticed, and this I think media does have a big part to play in this because of the stories we put out and the things we grow up watching. But a lot of the times, the friendships that, not all the time, but a lot of the time, you see like guys will only accept a girl who is a tomboy or who is trying to impress them all the time, not somebody who is confident in themselves and their femininity. You know what I mean? Like me personally, like I always talk about this. I grew up with all guys, but I still ended up pretty feminine. You know what I mean? Like I guess I wouldn't be in some other ways, but I don't really think about it like that because I think that's a whole other box in itself. So like for me, because I just want to express myself the way I want to, whatever feels right, it's like it confuses some people and they want to like, I can see them in real time decide if they think I'm like worthy enough of their friendship as a man. You know what I mean? Like it's really condescending and I'm not here for it.
No, I agree. I think all of the points we make are like it's all from our own personal experiences. That's why I feel like it's not, even though like it may sound like all we do is hate men, but like a lot of it comes from our own personal experiences. And I think like I don't know, I think for me, I've noticed at least when it comes to like my school's community, there's like I feel like we have a good mix of like girls and guys when it becomes like a really big group of all of us. And like I feel like we all see each other as people. That's the one thing I really do like about whenever I think all of my friends come together, because like most of the time it's not people flirting with each other or like trying to like belittle each other. It's actually just all like either cracking jokes or just us kind of going into our subgroups with time. And then I feel like I do have like a select few friends that are guys that I could say like only see me as just a friend and like treat me like a friend. Because I never really had that in high school, like at all. Like I feel like it was really hard to find that because everyone was trying to I feel like everyone was trying to like become something they weren't in high school, and everybody was trying to like chase after something that they didn't. Like nobody knows like truly who they are in high school. And so I feel like we were all kind of lost. But I feel like right now I feel like I'm at a good point, I could say, with like the friends I do have and some of the guy friends I do have, and like not feeling like some of them treat me either like I don't know, like are either like really, really misogynistic towards me or like um but like, oh, you're like one of the boys, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I also do see some red flags like sometimes with people that I'm not like close with, but I just mind my business. That's what I do. But yeah.
Okay. The next question was, how is friendship different compared to other communities? Because the way I'm trying to like explain friendship in this episode is that it's a certain kind of community, right? It's just a smaller one, but it's your own personal community. So how would you guys, what are the differences, the biggest ones that come out to you when you think about it compared to just any other kind of community?
I guess like a good example would be like the Sapa community versus like my friends. With them, um, I'm only gonna give them, oh my God, how do I word this? Okay, so with my friends, like completely unfiltered, everything's great. Like I don't have to worry about um, preserving an image of mine. Because with friendship it's like a more like private thing. And then with like big communities like that, like Sapa, it's like you have to watch everything that you're doing because word will go around, and it's like a big community where all sorts of families are involved, your family is involved. So you have to make sure like everything you do is thought through multiple times and that it's like not something that could possibly like ruin your reputation or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. I think like also with a lot of communities, it's like you can think of it like, oh, you have your cultural community too. Like a lot of communities have their common factor of why this community has been brought together. Like there's always a purpose, or like I said, like a cultural community, y'all are all from the same place. But I feel like with friendship, it's like more of a built community. You don't necessarily start out with a common factor. You guys all might be from different places, all be different kinds of people. And we were talking about aesthetics earlier. Like we all have like extremely different aesthetics from each other. And like we don't have a common factor, but like as we build this community with each other, we start to establish like the common factor of friendship. And that's how like our community continues to grow, or stay secluded within ourselves. But
That was so well worded. Like I have nothing to say.
thanks, guys. Thanks.
No, like I not really meant that. She said, I'm sad. Like y'all really
I'm really sad.
words out of my
Y'all, yeah.
No,
Mhm.
I loved it. Y'all really like that was so well put, you guys. Like I really agree. Like I really and to your point, yeah, about like the whole aesthetic thing. Like so in case people obviously don't know, like so we except for Ayat, who is our Libyan friend right here, the rest of us are Sudanese, right? And we knew each other from like community. So we just knew like our families knew each other, but we were never that close regardless. We got close in high school and then we got close with Ayat. And then we all realized, wow, we live the same life, like for real. Like we had so much in common from family lives and dynamics to friendship dynamics to our personal views on the world to just like we really understood each other on like a level that surprised all of us. Because to this day, we've been friends for a minute. To this day, every single call we have, we're just like, oh, I love you guys. Like, what the heck? Like, what? I'm so lucky. Like, that's how I just feel like that's real love when you're just still in awe every day that you have them in your life. Because at the end of the day, I think real friendship is like you should know you don't own these people. They have any right to leave whenever. So you got to like treat them like you would want to be treated and you want to treat them like you want the best for them. So every time you guys get accomplishments, it's just like it makes me feel like it's a win for our family. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Exactly.
it's like so cute to me. It makes me feel so whole. And like somebody who didn't have sisters, like this is like my sisterhood. So this is why I think it's important to really like friendship isn't something to like take like something you don't need. Like I think it is important because it saved me. I don't know about y'all, but it saved me, like for sure.
Mhm.
And it's just like a really good way of building your community that you know you're going to be comfortable in. It's a good way to like be fully sure that, okay, I want to be a part of something that I can take with me into the future. And like you said, like when you're truly friends with someone, you never stop appreciating them. You never stop realizing like, wow, this is really somebody I want with me for the rest of my life. And I think that's what like changes it as well between like community, relationship, and friendship is just you have chosen this person for companionship. Like you can genuinely move forward in your life as a person and just hope that they accept you as well. And that's like the best way of building community.
Our next question was, do you think everyone needs a friend? And I don't want this, I want to really also, I really need to preface this. If you currently don't have a friend and you listen to this, please do not start freaking out. Don't feel unworthy. Don't feel any less of yourself because I personally didn't have like, I might have had friends growing up, like maybe acquaintances, but there were definitely phases in my life where I didn't really have like a friend, like a real true friend. I felt like I was like really connected to in that way. And I have family members that are close to me that really aren't into friends as much as I am, like they're just not as social. And the thing is, though, is I want to ask more, is it something you think that, because here's the thing I also want to make sure, like, I feel like personally, I will say my answer is I do think, everyone needs a friend. I don't think it doesn't have to look the same as everybody else. And I don't think it has to be like your bestie. I just think someone needs somebody they can at least, when I say regularly, doesn't mean every day, but just regularly come up to kind of just bond and connect with and just like find like comfort in, I feel like if somebody has that kind of outlet, like it would make life a lot easier. And also it helps you learn how to be more open-minded by trying to accept a different person who isn't yourself, so like you just start to learn how to like be friendly with other people. But yeah, I want to hear your guys' opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think everybody needs a friend in a way that like you just need somebody you can lean on from time to time. Um, and that everybody needs a friend, okay? Like I remember when we had to go into quarantine, I was lonely as hell. Like we went back to school and the whole cohorts and online hybrid thing messed me up. I was by myself every single day that entire like junior year, and all my friendships were virtual, but that wasn't enough for me. Like phone calls were not cutting it at some point, and that was probably like the darkest point in my life where like I had like I wouldn't say I didn't have any friends. Like I knew people and we would talk, but it wasn't like anything like genuine. So I think everybody like really needs a friend because like you don't understand how much they can help a lot, especially when like you feel alone most of the time. Like that feeling is the worst. So, try your hardest to find your people. Like it's slow at first and it takes a lot of time, but when you do, like it's like the best thing in the world. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think having like I think it's important to have a friend and just have some form of like a friendship with someone. Like it doesn't have to be a super tight like bond, like Lameese was saying, but I think having someone who has a different perspective or is there to like hear your point of view and give you some advice when you need it, or is like there to hear you vent or anything like that. I think it's very important. Even if like I think it's important if like if you live a hard life, if you live like in a situation where you're not able to be heard by a lot of people, having a friend that hears you and listens to you is like I feel like really life changing. I feel like um I don't know, I feel like it helps you not only with your self-esteem, but it also helps you feel like you're not crazy. Like it makes you feel like you're actually being heard and that you're okay having these your own like your own opinions or like your own I don't know. I guess just like having a friend that can see every like see you for you and not see you for like I don't know, like nothing like something less than that. I don't really know how to word it, but I just find that very important. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also like as humans, we're not really built to be alone. Like it's not something that we are capable of, and I think it shows throughout society with people who do choose to be alone. It's just like we are a species that is meant to connect with each other. And like people who say like, "Oh, I'm all by myself. I'm all like this. Like I'm smart enough. I'm strong enough to get through life all by myself." Is like that's the whole point of us being like the smarter species is that we need to be able to communicate with each other. We need to be able to build off each other, and we need to like learn from each other. And I think that's the most beautiful part of friendship is that you honestly always end up learning something new from the other person.
Yeah. I agree. I think like even like right now, it's so hard to be alone. Like you have social media, you have your phone like right in your hand. Everyone wants to connect with as many people as they can. And I feel like kind of trying to be, I guess, outside of the box and like saying like you don't need anyone, I feel like it'll just start to hurt you with time. Like I think at least trying to see what there is out like what there is out there for you, then like you might actually find something that you didn't think you would ever like find or that you ever thought you would need. Because like I used to be super closed off. Like Lameese could back me up. Like I used to be very closed off, and um, I think just becoming like super close with Lameese. I don't want to like boost your ego, but like being close with Lameese, I feel like helped me with wanting to make more friends because I didn't think I could find people like like I didn't think I could find people that would actually understand me and actually like want to be friends with me for like my personality, you know?
And I was emo.
Okay.
Yeah, I was too. It's okay. Everyone has a phase.
We all were. And I
I
always say
wouldn't
that.
say I was emo. Um
Girl, she was joking. Not like emo, side bangs, like emo. No, like you were just like,
you were mentally
preserved
emo.
and don't talk to
you
me.
say I was preserved?
Yes. Sorry, what's the word? Reserved.
Okay, also I want to preface like there's nothing wrong with your emo. It's just like it's literally just like I had an emo I probably still am in it, let's be real. But like but like no, the whole point she's trying to get at though, I feel like you talked about was just like finally being comfortable enough to like open yourself up to people. Like me personally, I'm gonna be real with you, like I have a very bubbly personality, so I can definitely be a lot for some people. And it used to be like hard for me. I could pretty much be friends with like a good amount of people. Like if I could be friends with most people in my class. So then the people that didn't like me, I was like, oh my God, like I'm actually like I'm that kid. You know what I mean? Like, what do I do? You know? But the thing about friendship is when you finally meet somebody who doesn't care about you just being yourself. Like, I remember, Ala's been with me since I was pulling up to school in pajamas. Yeah, like she's a real one. It's like the way
The pajamas wasn't the issue. It was the big backpack, the body bag
Oh.
backpack.
I was one of those freshmen with the thick backpack because I thought I had to bring my entire room home to school with me. But like regardless, how do you solve issues and or communicate with friends? Like, so when there's an issue that
I
pops
was
up.
looking at this one.
Oh, okay,
I was
yeah.
looking
So
at
Yeah.
this too.
So this is a big question. It's not easy, but once you can find a way to like communicate it like clearly, it works. Like it helps a lot. And I feel like us personally, like we're still like finding ways to like address issues, but we still like do it. And I guess that's what keeps friendships alive. I think the best way to communicate an issue is to not be scared to bring it up. Because if you notice something and you don't like it and you keep it to yourself, it's just gonna get worse and worse to the point where like you start
Mhm.
bottling up how you feel about it, and you might end up like lashing out on somebody without um like not on purpose. And so the best way to address issues is to communicate. And it's uncomfortable at first. For some people, I guess I wouldn't say I'm a people pleaser, but I have a hard time just telling people like I think I don't like what you're doing because of like past bad friendships where if you like try to bring up like that you don't feel comfortable when someone does this or this kind of annoys you a little bit, you kind of turn into like a bad guy and you start like questioning whether or not like you're even like you start questioning if maybe like you're just doing if you're annoyed by somebody and that maybe you're the problem instead. So, you know, just get out of the comfort zone and like um really like sharpen your communication skills because that's how you're gonna like address issues in a healthy way where like you can come to like a solution.
Yeah, and Namis, you said this to me a lot, is like if you're not comfortable communicating with this person a problem, then this person shouldn't be in your life. And it's like if you continue to hold in a problem
Mm-hmm.
that you have with somebody, you're just gonna grow with you're gonna grow with this person just constantly having resentment towards them. And like resentment is the worst thing. It's like underlying hate. And hate is pretty bad when it's like out there. If it's underlying and you're holding it in all the time, there's no way that you're gonna ever be able to have a successful like connection with this person.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I think like y'all know me, like I really hate problems. Like if there is some type of like problem between me and like a friend or even me and somebody I don't know, like I'll automatically try to like um I'll either like I wouldn't say I take the blame, but I'll try to just dissolve it. Like I won't even say like, oh, like you made me feel this way. I'll just try to get rid of the situation and like because I hate like the feeling of um issues going on between like me and somebody else. But I think with time I've realized like you do need to communicate like whether somebody has upset you or if you don't like the way somebody like talks about you because like even if I think even if you're close with that person or not and you do really like that person and you want to see something grow more with them, you have to communicate to them and tell them like, hey, I don't like either the way you talk about me or I don't like the way that you say this, whatever. It really doesn't matter. Whatever makes you feel uncomfortable, I think if you communicate that and tell them how you feel, um, it will also teach you if that person respects you enough to hear you out and change, or if they don't respect you enough to change it and will like dismiss it and gaslight you. And I think a lot of us have had like a hard time with communicating our issues because like we get gaslit a lot, you know? And so um yeah, I think just learning to communicate is very important. And I think our friendship we communicate really well with each other when we're upset with each other. And yeah, it sounds like I'm
Yeah.
about to cry, but no, I have anxiety, okay? Don't do
It's
this.
okay. I'm gonna
And
build off of what Ala said, and now my mind went blank. Hold on, give me a second.
why you think
Ala,
on
can you? Huh?
And
I
I
just wanted to
what?
say one thing quick, like why you think on that one. I think like the best thing about our friendship is that we want us to stay friends for so long that we're gonna confront each other about our problems. Like we're just gonna
Exactly.
have
That's
Yeah.
what I was gonna say. Um, like friendships aren't perfect. Like I think like toxic friendships are people that don't fight because you need to fight to have a good friendship. I'm not talking about like fight like my God I hate you, but like I don't like what you did, and here's some ways we can fix that, and I need to see if you're like gonna be able to like cooperate or not. And
Yeah.
that's what builds really strong friendships, and that's how they work. But if you like are not, if you're friends with somebody and you can't like um confront them about them making you uncomfortable, like you're not even friends at that point. Because if you really cared
Hmm.
about keeping the friendship alive, you would do anything to let them know that like I don't like this and I feel like we can fix it.
Yeah, I agree. I think like I feel like it's hurt a lot more with like romantic relationships and not platonic relationships, where like people will say like, oh, like arguing means that you guys will have like a healthy relationship because at least you guys are like putting it out there that you're upset with something, right? But like I don't hear it a lot with platonic relationships, and like a lot of people kind of like try to make it seem like it's like I don't know, like they should be praised for not having a lot of arguments with their best friend. Whereas like then you'll hear that friend talk badly about their best friend to other people because they're so upset with them and they don't want to bring it up to them because like, oh well, we're both too like hard headed to have a conversation. But I'm like, I don't know. I think all of us are pretty stubborn, but we all will like put each other in our place. Like, um, I feel like I've known Lameese like for a long time, and like her and I have had like I would say little argue like the arguments we do have are very dumb, but like if we do have a big argument, like we'll communicate about it because we're like, no, 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 no. Like it's not that serious. We need to be friends. And even with like this friend group specifically, I feel like we're like, no guys, we can't lose this group chat. Like if we lose this group chat, it's the end of this world. Like um just because like I don't know, I think we just value each other's um company and value each other's as people in general. And sometimes like when you do communicate about certain arguments or certain things you don't like about um another person and you actually have that talk with them, you'll start to realize that both of you guys like either miscommunicated and like you guys both do want each other in each other's lives, or it's like, okay, well, I didn't like this about you, and now they're gonna tell you that they didn't like a certain thing that you did, and now you guys can actually have like um time to actually like learn things about each other and appreciate each other more as people.
Yeah, and I think like a lot of people just like assume that platonic friendships are never gonna have issues like ever. And it's like honestly, if you're gonna be around somebody who you're gonna build a community with, like there's no way you're not gonna have a disagreement. And I think that's also like one of the biggest things when it comes to community too. Like you're gonna have so many different people with each other. There's no way that you're not like gonna disagree at some point. And if you're not able to move past a disagreement, it's not there for you.
Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean that you have to like, I wouldn't say that you would have to like cut them off immediately. Sometimes that just means that they're not supposed to be there for a certain part of like your life. You can just put them in some like I guess the best way to say it is like there are categories you can put your friends as. You can have friends that you talk to when you need to vent about something. You have friends that you talk to about work or about school. You have friends that you can talk to about like relationship advice, if anything. You know what I mean? But like sometimes if a friend doesn't serve you to be that best friend and like help you with, I guess, all of those three things, then you can just categorize them in those areas if you feel like you still want them in your life.
No, I totally agree with everything you said. That's you have to make the distinction between best friends and friends, because that's the thing is like you can't put a best friend expectation on a friend. You know what I mean? Like, and a friend can't be putting a best friend expectation on you if you only think of them as a friend. So you just have to be, again, communicate where you stand on things. Because in my experience, I know that my straightforwardness can come off as very blunt to certain people, and some people don't appreciate it. They would prefer to keep everything, under the rug and just be like, no, we're good, we're good. I don't know how to operate like that way. Like, I'm genuinely not, I don't know how to do that. Like, I'm okay with being emotional. I am emotional, and because I'm somebody who likes to express myself, I like to be honest all the time. And so when somebody is giving fake vibes, or if I just feel like I can't be myself in a situation, it doesn't feel good. It feels really like suffocating to me personally, but that's just me, right? And so the last question I wanted to talk about, just we can wrap things up, but the last thing I wanted to talk about was um how do external factors contribute to your friendships? And this is something I touched on earlier. Basically, I feel like we can't only just talk about each individual and just their own personality and all of that, but there's also external factors that really do make or break a friendship. And I feel like an example of that, just so you guys have an idea of what I mean, is like, okay, like I think that my friends in my personal like Sudani community, right? And I want to preface again, every community has pros and cons and benefits and struggles, and it's not always bad. But what I will say, one issue is the competition aspect. Like, you are competing with every single girl in your community all the time, and it is sickening. Like, I think there's always, of course, like the part where our parents push us to be friends with these people because we could grow together, we could learn together. But that's what they think is happening, when a lot of the time this person is just trying to always constantly one up you, even if they say it in just like an offhanded petty way, where they're just like, oh well, I did this, you know what I mean? Like, after a certain point, I had friendships like that for so long that developed into really toxic relationships, to the point where, like Aya said earlier, like, you start to wonder if you have a problem because you just can't seem to let go of this resentment towards them, right? And so I feel like some people have external factors of like, this person's family seems better than mine, this person has more money than me, this person gets better grades, this person gets more attention from guys, this person gets more attention from girls, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? Like, what do you think? And you can bring up personal experiences, of course, let's leave out the names, but like personal experiences if you want, and if you just want to talk about like it in general, go ahead. But yeah, that's what I mean.
I think also like you talking about like the Sudani community is also very like similar to the Libyan communities, especially when it comes to like girls in the Libyan community. I feel like we're always like competing with each other on who's gonna get married first. Like, I think that's like our biggest thing. And like, obviously with me in the Libyan community, I'm like different. Like, I have short hair, and that's what like basically differs me out from everybody else. And that's like how easy it is to be like how easy it is to have external like values affect a community. And it's like, oh, this girl already like graduated college, and this girl graduated with 2 majors, this girl like did this and this and that. And it's like, you can't build a community off of trying to like constantly trying to catch up to people. It's like a standard that's set above like a lot of communities, like a blanket. And it's like, how am I supposed to sincerely connect with you when the only reason we're talking to each other is that we can both fulfill a goal that somebody else set for us?
Okay, so I think that the Sudanese community is like the same way, except it's not like a competition on like marriage, but it's so weird. Like, I don't know how to explain it. So it's either like who has like the best academic history, or you know, there's also like a favoritism with making friends in this community. Like, people are only going to be friends with the ones that are well known for well, this girl's always surrounded by these people. She always gets the most attention from guys. Like, I want to be friends with her so I can like, get her connections or whatever. And that's not a real friendship. And it turns out being really toxic in the end, and it's all really just a competition.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's like for like the Sudanese community, it's like a who's the best overall. Like, I don't really know how to like I don't think there's really anything in specific besides like what I was saying, like academics. And I think a lot of it goes with like social status, academic, so socioeconomic like status. Like if you aren't the best, then you're not like you're gonna just be like looked at either badly, you're gonna be talked about. Everyone is competing with each other, and it's always been, I feel like it's always been like that. And I think my generation, I feel like our generation's definitely working on that. But it's hard to when you're still hearing that from generations older than you. But I think overall it's like, okay, well, if I have to be the best and these people are talking about how this group over here is the best, then maybe I should get closer with them. Or like, I don't know, it's just it's not a true community. It's like it just feels like you're gaining networking skills because it's not like an actual like, oh, we all come from the same like background, we all want to like experience and like appreciate our culture. It's like I'm going to appreciate you for what you can offer to me and I'll give you what I can offer to you, but besides that, let's just work as like co-workers. Like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like a lot of people in our community, it feels like I guess the way I would put it is like my selected friends and then my community, it's like a work phone and my personal phone. Like my work phone would be for my community and my personal phone would be for my selected friends.
That was worded perfectly. Like,
That was like it, the networking, man.
I was literally
That was
waiting
so
for you to say
perfect.
networking. That was the only word in my mind the entire time talking. I was like, it's like networking. Then you said it, and I was like, literally, like, dude, like you ate with that because honestly, like, I feel like I've always felt like the whole networking aspect of it all is like that's why it's called networking and not making friends because you can't actually make friends with people when you're just trying to like connect based off of what they can offer you. Like that is exactly what it is. And networking makes sense, of course, in like a business aspect or in like a career, whatever. You get the point. But the thing is like to actually apply that way of thinking to real life is it's giving like, you know, Black Mirror nosedive episode where like social media just
Yeah.
lives and status. Yeah, it's insane. So but I'm gonna first before I wrap up anything, I want to give you guys an opportunity to say put anything out there or say anything before I ask you like the last like closing statements and stuff.
Listen to your gut. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, something makes you feel like if you leave a situation not feeling good afterwards, then it's not going to serve you well. Like that's one thing I do a lot more because I don't think I've ever understood when somebody was like, listen to your body. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, what are you saying? What are you trying to cook? But I started to realize like if I feel really like drained after a social event or if I feel really drained after just hanging out with someone, then like maybe hanging out with that person or hanging out with that group isn't for you. And it's just something to keep in the back of your mind. It isn't something that you have to decide on like right there, but it's just something to sleep on.
Yeah, and I think we like all said a lot of things on like how to get through a friendship, how to like process a friendship. It's like it's never gonna be just like
If you
easy,
enjoyed
like
this
Elsa was saying.
podcast, please
Like
consider
things are gonna
donating to support
go
this work
bad.
by
We
youth
have to make the
activists
wrong
across the country.
decisions sometimes.
Visit
but
ycdiversity.org
like you
to make
said,
a
it doesn't
donation
feel
or to get
good. It's
involved.
not good.
For more information and updates, check out
Learning
YCD's
lessons.
Instagram and TikTok at
Oh, it is all learning
YCDiversity,
lessons. Like
along
I was
with our
just gonna say
website.
actually like before we even like I want to say something I think we didn't touch on is even how to make friends. Like how to make friends is I think something honestly like a whole other video that would have to be. So like, you know, maybe like that's something else that you can, if you're listening to this, like explore on your own. But I just want to say to anybody listening, like you need to remember some people find their like lifelong friends way later in life. Like please do not give up on thinking that you're not worthy, that you'll never find your community, because you will. It just means that maybe you might have to move you from your state. Maybe you have to change to a different job. Maybe you have to have a certain life like altering experience happen to you where you like meet people through the same experience. Like there are so many countless ways to meet your kind of people. And I just don't, that's one thing I want to make very clear, because I think that's one of the biggest aspects to feeling lonely and feeling like nobody cares about you, is thinking that you're just never going to find someone that understands you. You will. And social media does make it a little bit easier that in the meantime, if you can't find that person, just what I would do to try to understand and find the answers to my questions was I would go online. I would find people that were posting videos about similar experiences. Don't build a parasocial relationship with that person. I'm just saying, like, you know, definitely to learn from them. So with that all being said, I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your days to do this for me. I really, really appreciate it.
Of course.
I chose y'all because I really do feel like we've worked on our friendship over the years to get to I'm actually so proud of our friend group. Like, I just feel like we really
Oh my god, like if we go back
Like-
to like the history and everything. Oh my gosh.
yes.
I will go to my grave saying this. I would have never like experienced friendship if I didn't meet you guys. Like true real friendship, it would have never existed for me if I didn't even know what like actual friendship was until I met you guys.
Same.
Yeah,
Exactly.
me too.
Man.
Well, with that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you again, and I'll see you later.
Okay, bye.